Hi, I'm Dorothy Godin, broker 3 Max Crown Realty here in Sudbury, and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Well, here we are 2 weeks into September. We're getting into hockey, we're getting into dance, we're getting into regular routines. And as normal, we always see that September starts to kind of blossom a little bit after a little bit of a slowdown in August. So if you look at September so far, residential sales within the city of Greater Sudbury, we've had 106. Same period last month, we had 95. A year ago, same period, we had 79. So it shows the volume is actually really good. Average sale price is still hovering in that $500,000 range, which we've seen since the pandemic. What we are seeing in terms of a difference is it's taking a little bit longer to sell. So on average, in the last 2 weeks, it's taken 27 days to sell. And, during the pandemic, that was 15 days and even, we saw 7 days. And on average, things are selling 2% above list price. Now, that's the first 2 weeks of September. Year to date, the volume is about 14, just over 1400, which is very, very normal. If I go back to like 2019, taking out the pandemic, that's a very normal number for the number of sales year to date. Average sale price when you look year to date is 527, average days on the market 22, and average sale price over list is 3%. But we're seeing that it's not that it's slower. I think that buyers right now are being a little bit pickier and they're not being pushed into things that they were like the pandemic, because we have 292 active residential listings, which is great. This 2 week period, about 63% sold at or above list price. Again, always remember that real estate is hyper local and you have to look at your market. So if you look at the under 600 market, which represents about 79% of the sales so far this month. The list to sell ratio is 3%. If you go over the 600, days on the market changes dramatically. Days on the market is 41 days, where the under 600 days on the market is 22 days, and the sale to list ratio is 98%. So those are two very separate markets. So be very careful when I talk to you about, the average within the city. It's all good to have that knowledge, but you really have to know, hyper local, my area, my price range, because you can see there's two different markets happening. I wanted to touch base about there's a number of potential buyers out there who tend to want to call the listing rep to get information. And I think I'm hearing a lot that they're surprised that, agents are not more enthusiastic, and they they feel like they're not getting serviced. And I'll tell you, when you're calling a sales rep, first of all, you should find a sales rep that you're comfortable with and you have a relationship with, and then you just call them for all the information. They have everything. We carry our iPads with us. We can look up anything for you. There's no need to be calling the listing rep. And remember, when you call the listing rep, that sales rep works for the seller, and you will get information for sure, but you're not going to get guidance and the expertise that you would if you had your own agent. Can a one realtor represent both the buyer and the seller? Absolutely, that's multiple representation. But when you make that initial call, remember that that sales rep at that moment is working for the seller. So I would just encourage everyone, if you're in the market, find a realtor that you trust, that you have a relationship with, and you will get all the information you need. You don't have to be calling around 20 different agents and feel like you're not getting service. Our first obligation is to our client, and when you call on a sign, you're not a client. You're just, somebody calling on a sign. So I just want to just encourage everyone to, find a realtor that you trust and that you have rapport with and you're a good fit. and you will be better serviced rather than calling the listing rep all the time. So market is great. It's hopping along. It's important to align your price with your market. It's as I think I talked about this last week. There were quite a few price adjustments in the system last week, and that is normal. You need to look at your market, and if you're not getting the engagement that you need, then your price is the problem. As always, you can reach me at Dorothy Godin at remax.net or 705-561-2360. Enjoy this great weather that we're having.